about you. I couldn't tell you who made what belt when and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
Dustin,
of course.
why don't you pick it up?
See, I don't know who made belts, but I know like what I prefer, and it's always going to be like the blocky intercontinental title, the winged eagle belt for sure is like that should have never went away. Like that belt design was fucking perfect.
It's
Real quick, can you guys hear me again?
There he is.
Okay, I don't know what happened there. I dropped out.
Did the recording stop? Because that'd be.
I restarted, so I'll just have to find a way to finagle them together. And but we're back up and going.
All right. Well, you interrupted Dustin, so now he's not going to talk anymore.
All right. So Dustin, continue. You said you liked the winged eagle and the big blocky.
Yeah, and I mean, it's basically all the '90s belts. Just I don't know, probably because that's what I grew up with. So,
you're a fan of Reggie Parks. That's the name of the gentleman who designed and made all those belts: the winged eagle, the block intercontinental championship design, all those mid '90s titles were all the creation of Reggie Parks.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't know. I mean, I didn't know who designed them. I do like the Attitude Era world title.
The Smoking Skull belt.
No, the one right after the winged eagle.
The big eagle.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting topic in and of itself, because Reggie Parks he aged out and got fairly ill. He's still alive, but just decided to get out of the belt making game, and that's when they brought in a gentleman by the name of Joe Marshall. Now, if you go back and look at some WWE footage and look at their property plates, you'll see the company logo, whether it be WWF, WWE at the time, and the date, and under that will be the word Jamar, and that's what he went by. So he's famous for the Big Eagle, the Oval Intercontinental, the European Championship, the Undisputed Championship, the old Light Heavyweight Championship title. I don't know if anyone even remembers that one.
Oh, yeah.
And eventually, and he was one of the first to actually offer belts to the public. Before replicas were started, you could actually contact him and buy replicas of the belts he made. He would remove all of the WWF logos from them, replace them with just a various image or something. But you could get real belts from him. And the reason why he stopped is because he just decided to take money that WWE gave him and disappear.
My man.
Yeah.
You make it like Vince call him like, is that an airport? Are you in an airport? What's that noise back? He's like, oh yeah, I'm definitely flying the belt to you right now. I'm definitely not going to Bermuda. Don't worry, I'll be there in a few hours.
He ripped off so many people, not just WWE themselves, because he was there up until the Undisputed Championship. He made that as well, and I don't know what the hell happened.
Do you know what happened to him? Do we know where he's at now?
For all we know, he's still alive somewhere. He's just, his website is defunct. That's all we know. Like, he's just out there somewhere.
Okay.
But he decided to take the WWE and his customers for a lot and why there hasn't been a more thorough investigation into him, I don't particularly understand. But yeah, you ask any of the belt collector community about Joe Marshall, and they'll tell you not only the same stuff that I did, but just what a piece of shit he is. Which is too bad because he designed some of the most iconic belts, of our memories.
You said Joe Marshall?
Yep.
Now I want a Netflix documentary about this.
Right.
Oh, I'd love one too. So is there anything else that comes into mind with you, Dustin, when you're thinking about belts that just you absolutely love?
I don't know. Like I said, I'm big on those '90s belts. I like the Big Eagle one we were talking about. I hate the oval Intercontinental. It's
really?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like it. I like the Intercontinental belt when like Ultimate Warrior had it and the strap changed colors every week.
Yeah. Yep.
Like that shit was fun. I really hated the Undisputed Championship design or whatever. It was just too much. It was too busy.
Yeah, I heard you're the kind of guy that likes a spinner belt, so whatever.
Oh yeah, totally.
Oh.
And that shit either. I don't know. I haven't been happy with a world title design since probably the Big Eagle.
I think it's all about what we grew up with. You're right when you said that earlier.
Yeah, that's just what I expect, or what like I hold my expectations to, and then like the new belts right now are so boring.
Oh.
So now I remember the Smoking Skull. Like I remember the Smoking Skull belt being a thing, and just being blown away that like Stone Cold had his own belt. Like that is so cool.
Yeah, it was cool because it was like the first time that a person had their own title belt.
And you know how that belt came to be, right?
No, I don't know history much. I just know design.
We're listening.
So, it was right after, what was it, 96 when he first won the belt? Or
No,
was
I
that,
think
no, that was
96
98.
The ring.
Yeah.
Yeah, 96 was King of the Ring. 98 is when he won his first title.
Yeah, WrestleMania 14.
So Vince brought out the newly minted block logo Big Eagle belt. And in a segment, the belt popped up out of his hand, and one of the sharp edges, because it had bars, a little like the winged eagle, one of those bars just busted open his chin, and he was pissed. So he was talking in the back with, I believe it was Animal, Road Warrior, Legion of Doom Animal.
Right.
And he said something along the line of, well, if you don't like it, make your own goddamn belt. And that's when Steve went, He took his own money, contacted Joe Marshall, and said, hey, I have this idea for a belt. Never cleared it with WWF. Just had it made out of his own pocket. And right after it was made, it appeared on Raw. And apparently, from what I've heard from stories, Vince initially was fairly pissed that Steve didn't clear it with anybody. But it soon became such a big thing and part of the storyline that he didn't care. And
until it starts making Vince is mad until it makes him money, and then it's been his idea this whole time.
Yeah. So that's the whole story behind the Smoking Skull.
I disagree. There's one other piece of that story that I've heard that you didn't bring up. Because of its success, when The Rock won the championship after Stone Cold, there was going to be a Brahma Bull championship as well.
And there is an actual Brahma Bull Championship. Now, the lore goes that it was lost in shipping. Now, The Rock himself has said that's not true. It just stuff moved along too quickly for it to become a part of the storyline. So, two conflicting reports. Who knows what's true?
WWE Shop has been putting out replica belts. I just sent you guys the link. They have the
and
Rock
that is
one.
the exact same belt.
They made like an Undertaker one. They've been going ham on these replica belts lately.
Now, the Taker belt never actually existed.
Right,
that
no,
one,
I get that.
That one was just special for them.
But the Vince is like, just make it. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. And, you know, I know plenty of people who just gobbled it up. Came in its own little casket. It's a great presentation. Before we get too much further and like kind of what happened after Marshall, how about Lance Wade, the belts that you guys associate and always are super fond of?
I don't know if I'm super fond of any of the belts, but the ones that always come to my mind, like number one, the Smoking Skull, but like the one I always think when I close my eyes and think of a championship belt is the green European title belt. Like, it always makes me giggle. Like, you remember, like, X-Pac had the green European Championship belt.
Yep. Yeah, that was the initial strap it was on, and eventually they changed it to black. But it's become, a punchline of many jokes.
But they all like,
and the 24/7 title.
I think the big gold one. The big gold from WCW is the most iconic. Like, that is when you think of a championship belt, like, you close your eyes and imagine a belt, like that's the one that most people identify with.
Big gold, yep.
The one that Hogan painted WCW on.
Yeah.
I mean, like, the ones nowadays aren't bad, and like now while the spin people weren't big fans of the spinner belts, like that spinner belt like was synonymous with John Cena.
Mm.
Like there wasn't like that. When I thought of John Cena, I thought of that belt. But I don't know. I like the tag. Like, I like the current people shit all over them, but the tag team belts right now with like the two Spartan heads on them are pretty cool.
Mm. And that's another thing I'll bring up a little bit later, because there's a great little anecdote about that belt. Lance, how about yourself and titles that you just instantly gravitate towards?
It's pretty similar to Wade. The Smoking Skull belt, the Big Gold belt, the old Intercontinental Championship on the white strap, and just for its uniqueness, and again, it was the era that I grew up with, I like the hardcore belt. The hardcore belt, to this day, I've not seen anything quite like it. So, I mean, I've got to give it to that for its uniqueness. Plus, I used to love the hardcore division. That was one of my favorite parts of the night, which is probably a reason that I love the 24/7 stuff so much. At least until Rob Gronkowski started hoarding that belt. And that's probably the worst thing I would ever say about Rob Gronkowski, being a New England Patriots fan.
Well, do we know who came up? So the hardcore title obviously was just a smashed up old title. Like that was, you're 100% right, Lance. That was the most perfect like incarnation of what the belt represented.
Absolutely.
Like,
110%.
Like whoever just decided to mush up an old belt and put it together. Like when I almost thought that like Mankind in the back like did that. You know what I mean? Like I can close my eyes and picture him doing that.
Oh, absolutely.
So this rumor has been debunked since then, but a lot of what people thought how that belt came to be is, I don't know if you remember, right before the block logo Big Eagle debuted, I believe it was Lex Luger, or no, Sid Vicious maybe. Yeah, Sid Vicious took the old Winged Eagle belt and smashed it with a hammer. And everyone thought the Hardcore Championship was made from that. Apparently, it was all new casted plates that they made for the Hardcore Championship. But that was one of the kind of pieces of lore that people thought for a long time that surrounded that belt.
Interesting.
Keep going. I mean, you were on a rant about.
I would say I was looking up the Hardcore Championship to see if I could find any information about it. So I think other than that, new championships, I mean, they're all fine. I don't put a whole ton of stock into them. But again, in keeping with I like ones that are unique and stand out, I would say Bray Wyatt's face championship that he debuted not too long ago.
That was actually made for him by a horror movie prop company. And I can't remember the name of it right now, but it's like they did work on like Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th and all sorts of horror movies, which I thought was just really cool. And just like you hear that, and you're like, okay, that's just Bray Wyatt. That's so Bray Wyatt.
Oh yeah, absolutely. With what he's done with just the lamp. Hell, when he first debuted and he had the lamp that was inside his head.
Yep. It
fits the character perfectly.
And it's funny you say that about like the horror movie thing, because if there's one thing that the WWE belt signifies, what's funny nowadays in popular culture, and I know it's 100% a Triple H thing, is like anytime any team wins the championship in a sport, Triple H sends them all belts. Like, how cool is that? You know, like you win the World Series, you win the Stanley Cup, Triple H is just sending everybody a belt. You know, and it's so funny to watch these guys that you look at LeBron James. So many people who look up to LeBron James, but then like you send LeBron James a WWE belt and he turns into like a 12-year-old kid again. Like, it's so funny to see those things happen.
Yeah, and it's awesome that a lot of the times they make custom side plates for any of those teams they send them to. And that's, you know, I just think it's awesome. As for me, because I used to have a replica of it and then I was an idiot and sold it, sold both of them. I had a replica of the WCW Big Gold, and a replica of the WWF Big Eagle. I'm with you, Wade, when you think about a championship, like instantly your mind goes to that WCW Big Gold Championship. Originally, the original version of that belt that Ric Flair held was hand carved by a belt buckle smith, just on a massive scale. And to this day, the company is called Crumrine. To this day, nobody knows exactly where the original is, because over the years, WCW casted that belt. They made molds and casted it to kind of replace belts when it got damaged and things like that. So nobody knows where the original is. The popular theory is that it's still with Ric Flair, which I think is the only fitting thing.
I think it's the same things of when like Ric Flair's robes would go missing. Like somebody has that in their basement and they're not going to say a goddamn word about it.
Exactly. Somebody owns it and somebody treasures it, and they're never gonna say anything about it. The other belt, when I think of iconic championship belts, is the NWA Domed Globe Championship, the commonly referred to as 10 pounds of gold. Are you guys familiar with that belt?
Oh yeah.
Looking it up right now. I gotta see it.
That's been around since the territorial days.
Okay, yep.
And that signature lacing around the strap, I mean, that's always got to be there. In fact, what was it, Lance? What did we watch All In, where they had Cody win it?
Cody won it over Nick Aldis.
Yep.
Yep.
So both father and son held the title.
Once.
And that's exactly when it comes to the Domed Globe Championship, it's the American Dream who instantly comes into mind when I think about that belt. And of course, as you guys said, it's the Attitude Era. A lot of the Joe Marshall belts. I came in. That's about the time that I started watching some of it, so I wasn't really around for a lot of the Reggie Parks era. After Joe Marshall decided to do his disappearing act, that's when they brought in a Tennessee belt maker by the name of Dave Milliken. And he's responsible for the current United States Championship belt, the John Cena spinning United States Championship, the spinner belt. He's known for let's see, what else did he no, he did not do the he did do the current cruiserweight belt. And he luckily has not pulled any shit and is still very much making product for the company. He was also the one who he actually asked Reggie Parks if he could remake his Intercontinental Championship, and Reggie said, "Of course, go ahead." And that's when Cody brought back the white strap Intercontinental. We were talking about the Spartan Head tag team championships.
Yep.
Does everyone know the first incarnation of that belt? Does everyone remember the nickname of it?
No.
They were called the Penny Tags.
Yeah.
Because they were casted in copper. And there's a funny interview with Milliken out there. And they were designing new tag team championships. This was after the first brand split had ended. Because if everyone remembers, Milliken had made SmackDown and Raw tag team championships. The SmackDown kind of looked like the old classic Reggie Parks one, and then the Raw were this just new kind of more sleek design. And he was on a conference call with Stephanie McMahon and a couple other board members, and he was begging and pleading them because all these people wanted these belts done with copper plates, and he was begging, please don't make me do copper. Like it's such. When you think of copper, what do you think of? You think of last place,
right?
And they wouldn't ease up, so he did it for them, and surely enough, it wasn't more than 2 years later that they started the next brand split and made the new silver tags. And this, I'm equally as unimpressed with the current championships. You had the original big logo one made by West Coast Choppers, which was a weird partnership for WWE, but they did it. And the people who are currently making the Universal, the World Heavyweight, are Wildcat belts. And another big thing people don't realize that Wildcats are doing are what's affectionately known as the mustard belt, the championship belt that the winner of the 4th of July Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Championship wins.
But really, who did the trophy for the greatest Royal Rumble? Because we all want to know.
Honestly, I don't know about that one. I don't. I would between that and the first ever women's battle royal. Whoever thought trophy looking like a women's reproductive system would be a good idea.
Women's belt.
That's Vince. That's 100% Vince.
Yeah, it was. He was like, give that thing some, and I'm not going to say it because it's a family show. And they were like, are you sure, Vince? Yeah, I want it to look just like that.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
Nobody takes the women seriously anyways, so just do whatever.
And it's a damn shame. So that's what I wanted to cover in wrestling this week, was kind of a little bit of a brief history fit to print of all those belts you see every week, and it just gives you a little more information on the development process, the makers, where they come from. That's all I got.
I don't know. Like I said, and it's so funny how ingrained they are in popular culture that like seems like boxing belts are starting to become a little bit more flamboyant like that, and the UFC.
Yeah, it's actually Dave Milliken who does UFC as well.
Okay, because the UFC just changed their championship belt less than a year ago.
Yeah,
they have a new type.
But I thought those belts always look good.
Oh. Then what happened? Dustin, what are you doing?
I'm just listening.
What are you wearing?
Shorts.
Ooh, tell me more, big boy.
First you had my attention, now you have my interest.
Oh. All right. Well, this has been interesting. It's been an interesting one. I'll have to see if I can cobble it all together. I haven't done any editing yet, so but it might just be straight uploaded as part 1, part 2. Anything else anybody wants to dive into tonight?
No, I don't think so.
We're all pretty ready to dive into each other.
Well, Nate, we've been ready.
That's what I was waiting for, but I didn't want to be rude.
Nate's like, Lance, I'm gonna be waiting out in your back grass that never gets mowed, if you know what I mean.
Apparently, I'm going bear hunting.
Oh yeah. I've had a haircut in 3 months. I've barely shaved anywhere. Oh, come on, come and get it.
This will be the podcast
I'm already
my mom finds and decides to listen to. By the way. She keeps saying like, "Well, where can I find it? I want to listen to it." I'm like, "It is nothing that you need to listen to, Mom. You just need to stay far, far away from it."
Yep. Yeah. I'd in fact, anyone who's a mother, I'd say probably needs to stay far, far away from this.
I think most people in general should just stay far, far away from this one. This was This was one of our more raucous episodes.
Yeah. I mean, it was pretty good when you were drunk, and now we had another couple of weeks, and now I'm drunk, and yeah, I think everybody needs to take a turn. So who wants to go in the next couple of weeks?
Well, I think most of the issue there, Nate, is that 3/4 of us have a day job.
Fair.
That we have to wake up for. So
no reason why we couldn't switch back to the weekend and just.
Well, if I drink, we're gonna have 45 minutes. We're gonna have up to 45 minutes, and then me sleeping the rest of the time. Like, there's a reason why I don't drink.
I'm down for that.
Fair enough. All right. Well, I guess if that's it, I'll give the usual spiel here, ladies and gentlemen. We are on YouTube, so we are beholden right now to the YouTube gods, which means if you give the video a like, it would very much help us out. If you like what you hear, please leave a comment. Always open to constructive criticism. Drop a subscribe if you're so inclined. Other than that, I kind of forgot to officially mention, but we have switched our recording nights to Tuesday, so anywhere between Tuesday night and Wednesday is when the new release schedule will be for the podcast. Other than that, I'm your host, Nate Gleason, joined by Lance Johnson.
So long, and thanks for all the fish.
Dustin Hayward.
Adios.
And Wade Fry.
See ya.
All right, and and thank you guys for joining us. We will talk to you next week. All right.